season. Now, moving on to the final topic. Now, I'm going to be looking at the games the Huskies are playing this upcoming week. So, can the trend be stopped of the Huskies just losing? The answer to this is no. I mean, this week in all odds will be more the same. And one could easily say that their games this week are even tougher than last week's game, as they're going up against USC tomorrow night at 7. And then on Saturday, they have a game against UCLA. So, really, the one thing that's going to help UW in these games is, I guess you could say, they're at home, which the positive of that is they don't have to travel. But still, it's not like there's any fans giving you that home field or home court advantage. So, looking at the opponents, USC is tied for the number one spot in the Pac 12 in the standings. And you look at who they're tied with UCLA. So, this week, the Huskies are going to face the two best teams in the conference. How hard could that be, right? I mean, especially when you look at UW being the 11th ranked team in the standings at 2-10, I believe their overall record is. I mean, it's going to be a tough week for sure. Looking at how UW played UCLA in the earlier meeting, they surprisingly played them tough. I mean, they kept it close the whole way, but they weren't able to pull out the victory in the end, of course. And what really kept them in the first game was one of UW's rare shooting games. They shot 52% from the field, 44% from three. And you contrast that with UCLA, who only shot 41% from the field and 45% from three. UCLA made one less three-pointer than UW. I mean, that adds up to a close game. What lost UW that close game was the turnover discrepancy and the free throw discrepancy. Now, UW did have one of their better games in terms of how many turnovers they had. They only had 11, which is by no means a bad day. If you could have 11 turnovers in 40 minutes, I mean, that's not a bad day at all. You could win that game easily. However, you then look at UCLA's turnovers, and they only had 6. That's just very disciplined basketball if you're only giving 6 turnovers in 40 minutes of play. That's showing the difference between UW and UCLA. UCLA is a disciplined, well-oiled machine. Well, UW has its fair share of leaks and mistakes while they're on the court. Now, looking into the free throw discrepancy, that's something else that hurt UW in the previous meeting. UW only shot 10 free throws, and they only made 6. So they shot a putrid 60% from the free throw line. That's not good at all. You then look at UCLA, who shot 82%, going 14-17. That's a good free throw game. And so UW shot 10 compared to the 17, and UCLA made 8 more free throws than UW did. Now then look at that final score of 76-81. That's a 5-point loss only. You got a 5 turnover differential and an 8 free throw made differential. I mean, that clearly had a strong effect on the final score and how the game ended, especially looking at how UW actually shot better than UCLA did. If UW is going to come out on top this time around, they're going to have to clean up those errors in the turnovers and just make their free throws. UW's offense, it's tough to get to the free throw line, I think, with the offense they play, which that adds to the low free throw numbers they're shooting in all these games. As UW's offense is based around getting the ball to the open guy for a shot. The only players on UW who really ever spend time with the ball on the interior is Quade Green and Marcus Sahonis when they're driving in for a layup. However, when the Huskies are driving, or when these guys are driving to the bucket, if there's a big congestion of defense there, then they'll kick it out because there's the open guy for the three-point shot. They're not going to force something up and take the foul when they have a wide open guy for a three-point shot, even though The Huskies have not been shooting well from deep. Something else hurting the Huskies' free throw production is they don't have an Isaiah Stewart, a guy who is constantly in the post for the offense, battling it with the big man, taking contact, getting hits, and getting to the free throw line. So really, that's the struggle for them. They're not getting that contact and getting to the free throw line where they then can get free points, basically. All right, now taking a look at the game against USC, which is the game tomorrow. I don't see many ways that UW's going to be able to pull this one off. In their first meeting against USC pretty much had whatever they wanted. They controlled the offensive end and they controlled the defensive end. USC ended up winning that game 96-68. The defense for USC was hounding the Huskies and bottled up the Huskies' inconsistent offense the whole game. Huskies shot 38% from the field and 39% from deep. Quade Green was unable to get anything going as these USC guards on him were basically pressuring him from the time he stepped over the half court line. Green ended up going 2 for 11 with 5 points. Now, Bay and Stevenson were the lone bright spots, I guess you could say, from that game. They ended up shooting 6 for 12 from behind the arc, while everyone else on the Huskies combined for 3 for 13 from behind the arc. As for the Husky defense, they were really unable to stop USC or slow them down in any way, especially not the Mobley brothers, who are the best players on USC's team, in my opinion. Against UW, they combined to shoot 12 of 19, hauled down 9 boards, 7 assists, and had a total of 35 points. The Huskies can't really compete against size as they don't have much size. Roberts is really their best strong defensive player at 6'10", but behind him, you got Riley Sorn, who's a really tall guy at 7'4", but all these other guys can just outskill him in the post, and some of them can outmuscle him and get their hook shot, which Sorn can't block. So I've seen nothing since that game to believe that this one's going to turn out any way different. And really starting tomorrow against USC, the Husky basketball team is going to be in for a long few days with quite possibly very lopsided losses. I wouldn't be shocked if UW ended up losing both these games by 20 plus. But then again, you never